right, Miles, let's talk about the Cincinnati Bengals here for a little bit. Look, the Bengals have obviously been one of the more active teams in free agency. Makes sense. They're, of course, one of the top contenders, not just in the entire, and just not just in the AFC, but in the entire NFL. And of course, the Bengals have made a lot of really good moves in terms of high-level upgrades. They made kind of under the radar additions to the team. But there's one move that it didn't make all the headlines, but I think it was a really smart move by the Bengals front office that isn't getting the attention it deserves. And as we get closer to the draft and kind of wrap up this free agency, I think this move looks smarter and smarter, and I think will be massive for the Bengals come 2023.
Yeah, Nick, you talked about, a move that the Bengals made that is like sneaky. It was, under the radar. Maybe a steal of a deal. And that's why I want to ask the Bengals fans in the comments below, who's been your favorite Bengals draft steal of all time? Maybe a player that slid a little bit, maybe a guy that was undervalued by other teams. The Bengals were able to pick him up and came out and to be a heck of a player for Cincinnati. Let us know in the comments below who your favorite Bengals draft steal was. And also, make sure to stay tuned to the end of today's video to hear a word from the partner of today's video, Neuro. But Nick, nonetheless, you talk about this move the Bengals have made. What is going on down in Cincinnati?
Yeah, so when it comes to roster building in the offseason, there's really three things you can do. And this is really obvious stuff, right? You can either get rid of players that, are hurting your roster. You cut players or trade players that aren't helping your team. And of course, you add players to your roster that you think will upgrade your team. And the third thing you do is you keep quality players on the roster. And look, I know that sounds extremely obvious, but sometimes teams screw this up because sometimes quality players or players that fill a certain role on your team aren't happy with their current situations. And sometimes the team takes the wrong way out and they dump a solid player or dump a player that fills an important role when they really shouldn't. And I think the Bengals did the opposite here. They made a smart move. If you want to go ahead and throw up this report, Miles, this is according to ProFootballTalk.com, relating specifically to offensive tackle Jonah Williams. So I'm going to read directly from the report here. After the Bengals signed Orlando Brown to be their left tackle moving forward, the club's previous left tackle, Jonah Williams, reportedly requested a trade. To this point, the Bengals have shown no intention of honoring that request. Head coach Zach Taylor has said that Williams is slated to compete at right tackle, and earlier this week declined to elaborate on what his conversations have been with the offensive lineman. On Thursday, Cincinnati Director of Player Personnel Duke Tobin, who essentially is a general manager, also did not say much about Williams and his future with the franchise. Tobin said, quote, "I don't have any updates on Jonah. He's a member of our team. He's a valuable member of our team. If that changes, you guys will be the first to know. But right now, that hasn't changed," unquote. All right, Miles. Obviously, Jonah Williams, he was going to be their left tackle, presumably, and they go bring in Orlando Brown. Big upgrade, so he would potentially move to right and compete there. It's the smart move there from the Bengals to move him to right. But obviously, Williams is upset for reasons that make sense. Right tackles make a lot less money than left tackles. Williams has been a left tackle for a little bit while in his NFL career. Obviously, he was upset at that. It's obviously a demotion. He gets emotional. He wants a trade. The Bengals do the right thing because Williams will play an important role in this team. At the very least, he's an elite level quality swing tackle. Most likely, he'll be their starting right tackle. And he's a fairly cheap guy when you look at his contract situation. They're not breaking the bank on Williams right now. So at this point, by not acquiescing to Williams, by just taking a step back and saying, hey, listen, this guy wants a trade. We're not going to move him. I don't care how upset he is. We're just going to sit off this and we're just going to let it die. We're not even going to acknowledge it in the media. We're not going to fester. We're not going to have a, Packers, Aaron Rodgers, Ravens, Lamar Jackson drama. We're just going to kind of kill it quietly. And after all this time, there is no update on this. It looks like, for all intents and purposes, Williams will be on this football team going forward, unless a team makes the Bengals an offer they can't refuse, which will, of course, take in that situation anyway. So right now, I think the Bengals not acquiescing to an emotional upset Williams and keeping him on the roster will really work out for him, because I think come 2023, he's going to be their starting right tackle. I think he's doing a very serviceable job, and I think he'll be a crucial piece to this football team as they look to take the next step and hopefully win a title. Miles, what do you think the Bengals and how they've handled the Jonah Williams situation, especially considering all the other drama that's happened this offseason?
Yeah, Nick, no, I think it's a great move, and it's very ironic that it's happening the way that it is, because you look at the guy on the other side of the line that has supplanted him as the left tackle was a guy who was picked up by Baltimore late in the draft, kind of as a steal a little bit, came in to the NFL and was Baltimore's right tackle. Obviously, they had Ronnie Stanley at the time, who was very, very good. And, Orlando Brown, he came in and he wanted to be paid as a left tackle. He made that move there. He went out to do all of this. And then he goes on to, stake his claim, say, hey, I want to be paid as a left tackle. He leaves, bounces around, goes the Chiefs, comes over to Cincinnati. And now we're in the same situation, but the Bengals are staying fast. They're not going to, trade him or let him go. They want to stick to their guns, say, listen, you're a valuable part of this team. Maybe, like you said, don't give in to these emotional outbursts. Let it sit for a second. Let him show him how important he is to this team. And then we come in to this season. He plays solid at right tackle or swing tackle, however the case may be. And he's a valuable part of the team. And if you make a late playoff push like the Bengals, I feel like they are primed to do once again, he's probably going to come around and feel a little bit differently come this time next season. So I think it was a good move for the Bengals to sit on Williams. I think he's going to be a valuable part of the team, to a part of their team that was honestly the only reason they probably didn't win a Super Bowl and go to a second Super Bowl the last 2 seasons, is they needed to upgrade their offensive line substantially, and keeping a guy like Williams does exactly that.
And one of the things we sometimes forget, right? And we're all there in our day jobs. We all are trying vying for promotions and raises. And if it doesn't happen, we get upset. Look, we've all been there. The promotion doesn't come. We update our resume or we look for another job. It's all part of it. It's just an emotional thing. You don't get the money you think, you don't get the promotion you want, you get upset. And that happens to all of us, especially 26-year-old, these guys. I know we look at them as full grown men, and they are to a certain point, but they're 26-year-olds. You go in the office and you see a 26-year-old, you're like, oh, that's a young, immature kid. He doesn't know what he's doing. Here, he's considered a veteran and he's 26. So sometimes we forget about that dynamic that a lot of these players go through. But one thing I want to give the Bengals front office a lot of credit of is we talked about this a lot last offseason. There's a lot of reports that Bengals quarterback Joe Burrow was doing a fantastic job bringing in free agents, keeping everybody on the same page, creating a great environment. Everybody wants to play with Burrow. There's a new report out today from Yahoo Sports that new Bengals tight end Irv Smith said the reason he came to Cincinnati is because of Joe Burrow. So what did the Bengals make sure to wait and do before they even think about trading Jonah Williams? If they do at this point, it'll obviously be after today. They wait until the organized activities come back, right? Because obviously when Williams wanted to trade, it was the offseason. Everyone was at home. What's Williams doing right now? He's going in, he's seeing Joe Burrow, or he's hearing about Joe Burrow. He's hearing about the guys and the team. Everyone's back together. Everyone's part of this movement, trying to get back to the Super Bowl and hopefully win it this time. And the moment that starts happening, right, all that emotional upset, about not getting the promotion in terms of getting demoted to the right tackle, potentially taking a future pay cut after the season because he's a right tackle, may start to go away a little bit as he shifts gears from selfish free agent salary guy to team guy playing with Joe Burrow, the Pied Piper of this Bengals team, trying to make a run at a title. So I think that perspective was really smart by the Bengals front office too. Again, sometimes the best thing you can do in a situation is nothing. And a credit to the Bengals front office and Tobin here and everyone involved, because they did the right thing by just sitting and waiting and doing nothing. It looks like they'll come out big winners in this situation.
All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner in today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.